So LeBron quoted a friend of his on social media. A friend of his had posted, and he had repeated a critical statement about LeBron's career in the NBA, going back to his days in Cleveland and then in Miami. And the quote read, the East is easy. He, meaning LeBron, won't do that in the West, was the quote. Now, King James, of course, couldn't help but do a victory lap. He then put a very unique spin on that particular statement. What did he say? I'll tell you. He said, quote, bro, I swear I heard that for 15 years, including a couple of emojis he had at the end of it. He had the crown. Of course, he's King James, of course. He has to say that. So anyway, this reverberated around the chatterbox of NBA conversation. I want my swing in the batter's box. I want to get my swing at this. So again, LeBron, I like that he had a little Blake Snell in him. Bro, I swear I heard that for 15 years. Sounds like our favorite Tampa Bay Rays pitcher. So let's get to the conversation. The question, what do you make of LeBron James bragging about proving his critics wrong? Because that's essentially what he's doing. He's implying that, hey, I heard that for 15 years, but now I have shut up all of the critics who made that statement, which we know is not true. He hasn't shut anyone up, and he hasn't proven anything. My view on this, you've got the Wizard of Oz, you've got Mike Martz, and Mythbusters. All right, those three things, and we will combine everything together, and we will make some chicken soup. Who doesn't like chicken soup? Chicken soup for the soul. Now, first of all, the irony is delicious. It's glorious with this entire episode because LeBron James, his head is so far in the clouds. All right, so far in the clouds, he doesn't realize he has not done squat in the Western Conference. Now, maybe he will. I wouldn't bet on the Lakers, but maybe that'll happen. But it hasn't happened yet. So all we have to judge LeBron on is his first season in L.A. This season's incomplete. They haven't finished it. No one's been crowned the champion. No one's choked in the playoffs. Those things are going to happen. They haven't happened yet. So all we can give a report card on for LeBron James is his first season with the Lakers. LeBron got an F. LeBron got an F for his first season in the Western Conference. He was an abject failure. He was. The team failed to make the playoffs. His fingerprints were all over that mess. The team became unraveled. Now, I understand I'm in the minority. Many of the media you listen to, the mainstream media, they lick all over LeBron. Oh, my God, give him a shoulder massage and a bubble bath. That's what they do for LeBron James. They give him the full Monty. Whatever LeBron needs, lick, 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 lick. The media loves this guy. They can't get enough of him. So I'm going to be a truth teller here. And I'm going to tell you what really happened when LeBron came to LA. There was a lot of fanfare, a lot of buzz, and he was going to prove people wrong. Lakers had sucked for a number of years, and he was going to lead them to the promised land, and he was going to fix all these lottery picks, high draft picks, number 2 picks in the draft, a couple of those guys. They had Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, back-to-back number 2 picks. Kyle Kuzma was there, a highly thought-of young player. And they all flopped when playing in the shadow of LeBron James. None of them blossomed into an all-star level player. Some expected that to happen. More importantly, the report card that is still the most important is wins and losses. Wins and blankety-blank losses. Lakers, LeBron's first year, again, the only complete year we have to judge LeBron James on, won 37 games. They were 8 games under 500. LeBron James was in purgatory. He was feeling the anxiety. He was feeling the stress. He was living the Wizard of Oz story in real life. He woke up from a bad dream and he shouted, "We're not in the Eastern Conference anymore." That's exactly what he did, just like that. Remember that scene in The Wizard of Oz? Remember that? Yeah, I remember that. All right, so the second thing here. Now, the people who are right now massaging the ankles of LeBron James and tugging on his basketballs, they say it's not his fault. LeBron was injured. LeBron was hurt. All right, that's the only reason the Lakers missed the playoffs. Now, I understand the low information fan, the uneducated fan eats that up, and they don't do any of their homework because you got a job, you got stuff going on, you've got responsibility, you're all grown up. I get it. But you would have to be a gigantic rube, all right, a Poindexter to buy that. All right. In the olden days, that is known as a plate of chicken crap, is what that is. Excuses and alibis are the main enemies of accountability. And so let me set the record straight. First season for LeBron. Yeah, the only thing we have to judge him on. He was such a failure. It was such a fiasco and a debacle that LeBron's band of merry men had to be activated. They had to work overtime. There was historical revisionism mixed with selective omission, and Mike Martz. Remember the old St. Louis Rams coach, Mike Martz? And he had that famous rant, yabbit. That's LeBron James and the people around LeBron James when talking about his first season in L.A. Yabbit. It's coulda, shoulda, woulda. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. If only he had stayed healthy. Get my violin out, world's smallest violin. But here's what people seem to miss, and this is where you have no alibi. You have no comeback, right? Because I understand the argument, hey, he was hurt, that's why they didn't make the playoffs. You know what the Lakers' record was with LeBron James playing his first season in L.A.? He played 55 games. How many games over 500 were they? 1. They were 28-27 in games started by LeBron James. So don't kid yourself, right? You don't make the postseason in the Western Conference when you're 1 game over 500. Maybe years ago you did, but not now. So my favorite memory, though, of his first season in L.A. was after LeBron activated playoff mode. You know that hokey thing he does every year where he says he's going to stay off social media and he's going to lock in. And so he went to playoff mode thinking that the Lakers would respond. Because at that time, they actually had a chance to playoffs make a run to the postseason. So as soon as LeBron hit the button, right, just like that, hit the button and activated playoff mode, the team immediately responded to their fearless leader by, in the next 15 games, they went 3-12. That is a 200 winning percentage. They went 3-12 down the stretch before King James mailed it in. He sat out the final 6 games. He gave up. He gave up on his teammates. There's no other way to say it. Now, the final thought on this. So I would like to continue playing the sports mythbuster. Now, we've already blown away the myth that LeBron's proven himself in the Western Conference. He hasn't. Now, the critics were saying that LeBron, the main argument was this, that he would not be able to beat teams by himself like he did in Cleveland, where he was the main gun and they had some scrubs around him and they were able to get to the NBA Finals. Turns out the people that said this were right. Right? You say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, not to mention the thing that really proved that point even more, the legendary Kawhi Leonard from the People's team now, but Kawhi Leonard traveled across the U.S.-Canada border, and he showed that a top-level, elite type of ball player who has been, good in the Western Conference, but he went to the Eastern Conference with so-so teammates and proceeded to do the jitterbug through the Eastern Conference playoffs and watered down competition, the whole thing, and they won. The Toronto Raptors won. So Kawhi Leonard proved in cahoots with what LeBron failed to do with the Lakers that, yes, it is much easier in the Eastern Conference and it is much more difficult in the West. And so despite this amnesia and warped sense of reality, if it's not amnesia, it's not LeBron who can take a bow. It's the critics who can take a bow. They're the ones that can take a bow because they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. And we also saw how LeBron and his co-conspirator, the guys running the Lakers, Rich Paul and LeBron, these guys worked as puppeteers. Right? They were puppeteers. They begged and pleaded with the unibrow, and they convinced him to want to play for the Lakers and force a trade from the clueless New Orleans Pelicans. So mortifying. It's emasculating. It's embarrassing. And keep in mind that LeBron's also not going to win the regular season MVP. Not going to happen. This trophy has been signed. It has been sealed. And it has been delivered to the Greek Freak. That's right. Carved in stone. Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo head and shoulders above the field. And some people say this is a two-horse race. It's not. This is the Belmont Stakes. This is Secretariat winning by 31 lengths. That's what Giannis Antetokounmpo is in the NBA MVP race. And my evidence, the eyeball test, the numbers, and the geeks, LeBron isn't even the most valuable player according to the advanced numbers on the Lakers. That's Anthony Davis, the guy that he begged and pleaded to come join him with the Lakers. And some of the numbers indicate that Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks has more of a case and should finish second, granted a distant second, than LeBron James in the MVP race. So that's the reality. You can deal with it or not, but that's the reality of the situation.